Kacy Paide, office organizer of theinspiredoffice.com, coming to you today from my favorite client's house ever, my mom's house, my parents' house. They've lived here for 10 years, and it's a really beautiful home, but they struggle with something that many people struggle with too, and that's keeping the office area organized. I've been wanting to get my hands on this for years. Compared to a lot of what I see in my day-to-day work, this really isn't that bad, but it's something that really affects my parents, especially my mom. She spends a lot of time here. It's actually a gorgeous piece of furniture. As you can see, they're able to kind of hide the clutter should they want to. But I arrived today expecting to organize with my mom. I didn't know what she had in store, and she surprised me with this big surprise. Today is office day. I am going to film her next. We don't have somebody to film the two of us at the same time, so we'll be back in 1 second, and you will get to hear in my mom's own words what exactly is wrong with this picture. Everybody meet my mom, Kacy Paide. We have exactly the same name, but hers doesn't have a C in the first name. So, Mom, we're sitting here in your home office in Columbia, Maryland. Everybody's so excited to meet the mother of the Inspired Office. Tell us what's going on here. You've lived here for 10 years. Has the office corner always looked like this? Is this a new thing? What's going on?
I would say that it looked really nice when it was brand new. I mean, this is like a one-of-a-kind type of furniture, and it had to be cut. It's two pieces to get it into the house and get it up here. So that part up there comes off, and this is it. It started out being nice and neat, place for books, references, so forth. But the more I got involved and would sit down here and do things, I wasn't very good about cleaning up and putting things away and throwing away and shredding and doing things. And then I have organizations I belong to, and I print things off and just kind of put them around. And as you can see, I have an enormous pile here that holds everything from travel trip plans and finances, all kinds of, just put it there and I'll get to it later.
Do you ever get to it?
Yes, I do get to it.
Good to know. Good to know.
I get to it about once a year, once every other year.
That counts?
I get to it, yeah.
That counts?
I mean, you know how these things get to me also.
Exactly. So we all know that on the surface there are things out of place. We know it could look better, but how do you feel when you sit down? How does it actually manifest? What specifically bugs you about this corner?
Well, I think what I do is I always have a pad here. And another thing that really bugs me is all the passwords I have to know. And I think there's where I need your help on something else, but that's for another time.
Mm-hmm.
So I have places for passwords. I have places to take notes. I have a dictionary because sometimes the dictionary in the computer is not the way I'm used to being able to find something. If I can't spell it, it substitutes, and I don't like that. And then I have a few extra things here from Addie and Emma, our lovely granddaughters.
My nieces.
That are 8 and 10 that do their homework here sometimes. So things kind of migrate to this area that I don't tend to carry away. So I would say it's just, I could be a little more productive if I knew exactly where everything was. I mean, I got to pay bills from the computer here. I mean, there are lots of things I have to do here.
So what are your goals for your office? It's meant to be a very broad question. So
okay, I think one of a couple of two things I would like to have. I would like to have be rid of clutter, and I would like to have things like in my basket here filed nicely for what I need, and there's a lot in there that we will say goodbye to and shred.
I bet. One more question. How long do you estimate this will take?
Well, with you as my organizer, and how long it took you to do like my wonderful bathroom, linen closet, and other things.
I'm not paying her for the sales pitch.
No. It'll take half the time that your mother would anticipate. So since we have to pick up the grandchildren in about 2.5 hours, I would expect us to be almost finished by then.
I have a good feeling about it. All right, everybody, we will keep you posted with a very honest final picture, final story, and we'll let you know everything we did, how we did it, and how long it took.
We're ready to go to work.
Yeah, so my mom wants to apologize for wearing her sweats. I kind of ambushed her with this video. We'll be back. So we're exactly 1 hour in, and we're making amazing progress. This is actually very typical of the work I do. So here's a little tour of what appears to be a mess, but is actually great progress. So shredding. This needs to be sorted. This box is,
Look at it go down.
80% done maybe.
Oh, I think
Here's a happy mom. And this is actually where I've been sitting, in this empty spot. There's our trash bag that we're filling fast. And over there is my little stash. If there's something that my mom wants to keep, I put it to my left right there. The far left is where we have things to act on. Those are her kind of pressing papers that we absolutely cannot hide, that she needs to act on in the next coming days or weeks. These are folders. These are the beginnings of some kind of permanent categories, most of which will stay out. And here's some other paper for us to sort. So this pile here is going to get a little more work for us, but it's starting to make sense. And the good news is so much of it is going out. Mom, what percentage of things here do you think have been trashed so far?
At least 25% of it.
I think a lot more.
Okay.
I'd say 75%.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's deceiving because it takes us time to kind of go through that bin, but largely everything in that bin has made it into the recycling bag. So, more to come. Hi, so we are done. Things may look a little different because, full disclosure, this is a different day. It's actually a couple weeks later. But cumulatively, this project has taken us about 2.5 hours. The day we started, which is the first half of this video, we watched the clock closely. It took exactly 2 hours. We had to pause because I needed to go buy a supply or two before we could really put the finishing touches on everything. So it was 2 hours then, and today the finishing touches with the product took about a half hour. So let me show you something. My original idea was to buy one of these for my mom. I have other videos on this. It's a classic open top file box that you can get from Amazon or the Container Store, because I had this idea of taking the folders and files and papers that she was going to keep and just sliding them right here. But Container Store surprisingly had this much more aesthetically pleasing wooden one on clearance. I wish I could tell you guys where to find it, but it's discontinued. But one thing to point out here is that I wanted to use a really stiff folder, because anytime you're using an open filing system that only comes up about halfway, unless it's a stiff folder like these from the Container Store's own brand, it's gonna wilt over time, trust me. So my mom ended up with only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folders that she needs at her fingertips at the ready. There's no other filing system or file cabinet here. Truth be told, she doesn't even need it because she only needs these 5 at her fingertips. So we also have just a tiny little area for junk and doodads. Everybody's allowed a tiny, tiny area for those. Pencils here. And we've kept this basket, which really held the majority of our trash. And it now only holds her blank pads of paper. I can say this because she's my mom. I think she still has far too many pads of paper. She's got more pads of paper than one girl can use. What, Mom?
I was a teacher.
She was a school teacher. That's the reason, I guess.
And
But
don't forget, Addie and Emma like to play school.
it's true. My nieces come up here and they do like to play school. The good news is they are totally consolidated. So we kind of compromised on that. Something else I want to point out is I also bought this wooden tray that matches this wooden file box because I had an idea that it would kind of slip in here, or she could slip it in here and put pads and pens and markers in there because she doesn't have drawers. But we don't need it. So it was a really quick decision to return it. I'm telling you this because so many of you buy supplies and you never end up using them, and you never admit to yourself that you're not going to use them. Therefore, you never return them. It is perfectly fine if you buy a supply or two that you don't use, as long as you can kind of get real with yourself about the fact that you don't need it and then return it. So this goes back to Container Store this week. So that is it from me. This project essentially was like mini in that we spent most of our time talking through papers one at a time, throwing out what we don't need, and really taking a close look at everything she did need, which was a very small amount, which fits in desktop file folders. So now we're going to turn to my mom and close with my mom so she can just tell you a little bit about the process. Thank you for watching. So, Mom, we're sitting in your new inspired office. What do you think?
I think it's wonderful.
Did it take longer than you thought or shorter than you thought?
Actually, it took shorter than I thought. I get overwhelmed, as you know. So when I was able to see that we got started, it really made a difference.
So tell everybody watching a little bit about the process. Was it relatively painless? What was the hardest part?
I think the hardest part was sorting it and trying to realize what I could keep and needed to keep, what I didn't need to. And then I had all of these little tiny slips of paper with different messages, addresses, numbers, things that I could put in the computer or you would help me with. I had too many little tiny things that had added up to taking up space, and I still didn't know what to do with them, and now we know they're taken care of.
Yeah, we essentially processed and threw away a lot of them.
Yes,
If we
we
had
did.
to add an address, we added an address. If we had to look something up, we looked something up. We
Yep.
seized the moment. What was, if anything, easier than you expected?
Wow, easier than I expected. Was probably just throwing it away.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. In some respects, people think throwing the stuff away is the hard part, and at the same time, somehow it's the easy part. Just a matter of doing it.
It was easy to say, yeah, I don't need that anymore. Out it can go.
So, give everybody your honest opinion on your desktop filing system that we have now.
Oh, this is really, really good because I have my folders here that, and even, things that I use the computer for, I can go here. Or if I print something off, these are the folders that I most likely would be using. So I put it here. And over here in my basket that you make fun of, all my little pads are great. And I have one notebook here, which is where I pick it up and put something that I used to have, a little tiny piece of paper with a paper clip. And now it's all right here. And I can just pick it out, put it back, and it's always there.
The truth is, I give you a hard time about the basket and the pads of paper, but if it stays like that, then that will be the most wonderful basket of paper pads I've ever seen.
Well,
We'll
right,
just see if it stays.
Because where I was stuffing everything before in that one basket, now we've thrown away a lot of stuff, but we've also organized this over here, so I don't need everything stuffed in the basket. And those pads used to lie here,
Right.
and other stuff got stuck in between them.
Exactly. So what we want everybody to hear is now she doesn't even really have the option to stuff paper in this because we've created such an intuitive desktop system for her over here. As soon as a piece of paper comes that she has to keep, if it's not trash or process immediately, it's going to land right there. I think we're good.
It looks so different, like probably what it was meant to be.
Exactly. I think a lot of folks will relate. So, is there anything else you want to share, Mom?
Well, the only thing I want to share is I was telling my friends at lunch today about my organizing daughter coming over to help me, and they all said they wish they had an organizing daughter, and I'm very fortunate.
So
Thank you,
let's tell everybody, I love you, Mom. You're welcome. One more time, if they want to learn more about how to hire your daughter for organizing, what's the website?
Oh,
Pop quiz.
pop quiz, theinspiredoffice.com.
.com.